Welcome to the Player Attack summer season, thanks to Wargaming. We're taking a few weeks off to relax, go outside, enjoy the sunshine. Wait, who am I kidding? We're going to be playing our way through a whole stack of video games. Player Attack will be back in 2014. We've already got some exciting things in store, so stay tuned. We will still be updating playerattack.com throughout the holiday season, as well as hanging around on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can drop us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, if you've got something to say. In the meantime, why don't you take a little while to catch up on some of the Player Attack highlights from the past year as we revisit some of our favourite clips.
Recent events have left our world in chaos. Millions died in one terrible moment. Friends, family, husbands, wives. Some survivors have stepped forward to pick up the pieces. Others have succumbed to corruption. And through it all, the perpetrators of that heinous crime are left.
When someone says to you, make Superman evil, what's the first thing that runs through your head?
I go and cry in a corner, and I sort of rock back and forth, clutching my knees, because Superman is my hero. And for me, you know, I've always wanted to write Superman, and to be asked to write the prequel story that explains why he wants to tear out Batman's spleen is just horrible to me. So it's been a hard journey.
It's turned out pretty well, though, I would say.
It has. I know, it's selling gangbusters. It's the #1 selling digital comic in the world. But it's horrible. It's nasty. Don't read it. No, do read it. It's pretty good. I've read it.
Who was, are you a big fan of DC? Was this like a dream project for you?
Yes. I mean, well, it's a bit of a nightmare project because of what I have to do to my heroes. But writing for DC is absolutely a dream. You know, I've grown up, Superman is my ultimate hero. I've always wanted to write these guys, and Batman and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern and Aquaman and The Flash, and, it's incredible getting to write them.
What's your favorite Superman story?
Ooh. I don't know. I have no idea. The Superman, the first ever movie, I love. That is my movie. I've met Lois Lane today, who's here, Margot Kidder. I'm just hi, how are you, Lois? Sorry about what I did to you in Injustice. But, that was my movie. As far as comics, Red Sun, Kingdom Come, All-Stars, great. There's been fantastic Superman comics.
Tell me about The Deep.
The Deep is this thing right here. It's about a multi-ethnic family of underwater explorers who live on a submarine and their adventures. It's my joy, it's my love. It will put, it's kind of like, that moment when a newborn kitten first discovers a ball of, rainbow wool and starts playing with it joyfully with, a duckling? It's like that. Reading it's like that. Yeah, it's just feathery and rainbowy, knitty and beautiful. But basically, it is my book, and I love it, and it's been optioned by Technicolor. It's hopefully being turned into a 26-episode CG series.
How did you get into this?
Well, when a man and a woman love each other very, very much. No, I was a multi-award-winning playwright. Which means that I had plays on 4 continents and made about $50. From that, I had a play adapted into a comic called The Example, and then I went straight from there onto Star Wars. You can see the obvious progression, yeah? Yeah.
Is there any franchise that you think, God, I wish I could write something for that?
Honestly, not really. I've done it. I'm writing DC. I'd like to write Marvel one day, but I've written Star Wars, I've written Luke Skywalker and Superman, and they're my biggest heroes. I've just got a gig writing Earth 2 with Nicholas Scott, which is the first DC book by 2 Australians. Australia's been given their own universe to play with, and we'll try not to break it. Everything's just dream come true. And if anyone wants to hand me anything else and I've got time, then I'm always excited. I just get to play with all these toys that I grew up with playing, and now people pay me to play with them. And that's cool.
Is there anyone you want to see draw your work?
Yeah, but I've got Nicholas Scott at the moment, and she's incredible. She's a total A-lister, and it's amazing to get to work with her.
Well, thank you very much. It's been wonderful talking to you. Where can we get The Deep?
The Deep, you can get it at gestaltcomics.com. You can get it from Madman Entertainment, all good comic stores, all good bookstores. Any bookstores that don't have it aren't good bookstores.
Roll out. World of Tanks. Play for free at tanks.asia.
So our last project at Wargaming was to bring up a Dornier 17 bomber that crashed 72 years ago during the Battle of Britain. After it dropped its bombs on the city of London, it was returning and it was shot down by a British fighter, crashed into the channel, and it's been there since. It was covered by sands. It was in a place off the coast of Kent called Goodwin Sands, and in 2010, they found it basically on a side-scan radar mapping of the area, and clear as day, there was a bomber on the bottom of the ocean. It's about 50 feet down, and working with the RAF Museum at Cosford and Hendon and other entities that got involved, we were able to bring the plane up. It successfully came up on Tuesday this week, and now it's being loaded onto a lorry where it will be taken off to the museum for display and conservation. Wargaming has sponsored it's the Wargaming Conservation and Education Center at Cosford RAF Museum. It might seem a little strange for a video game company to sponsor things like archaeological excavations, recovery of lost aircraft in the English Channel, and other similar projects, but history is the DNA of our company. So for 15 years, we have made games about military history, and our company is filled with military veterans, history enthusiasts, we have pilots. We love this stuff, and we want to make sure that it's conserved for future generations so they can go see it in museums and be inspired the way we have. We're working with museums and universities in partnership to curate and build the exhibits and multimedia around it, smart apps and so forth, to help a younger generation better connect with and understand things about their history and our common heritage. My last project involved running an archaeological excavation in Burma, because ultimately what we were doing is investigating the legend of the Spitfires that were reportedly buried at Mingladon in 1945 and 1946. And like any good legend, there was a kernel of truth at the heart of it, which ended up being endlessly fascinating. Going forward, you will be reading more about tanks and planes and ships and other historic vehicles that have been lost to time that we either conserve or build exhibits around or go and recover. We have a fascinating group of people in this company, including our founder, Victor Kisley, who basically his whole life has been gaming in some form, whether it's playing chess or designing games, making games, many of them about military history from Napoleonic era up through the modern day. So it's just something we love, and we have the financial wherewithal and the connections to go and do cool things. And we believe that we do well by doing good.
Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen from Player Attack. I'm here with Brian Martel from Gearbox Software. We are at PAX Australia, and Brian and the rest of the Gearbox panel have just made an amazing announcement. Can you please tell us what you have just announced here at PAX Australia?
Yeah, we are making Homeworld HD. 100 years ago, a satellite detected an object under the sands of the Great Desert. An expedition was sent. An ancient starship buried in the sand.
Homeworld is just this amazing 3D RTS space, combat game. And so it was really revolutionary at the time to do an RTS that was fully 3D, be able to move the camera anywhere, and not only that, but the ships are just absolutely stunning. And so for that, they kind of were influential in all of us who were in the industry at the time to see some of the best ship designs that we've ever seen. It's still hard to beat,
This wasn't your property originally. It belonged to Relic a while ago, and then Relic was owned by THQ. Can you recap briefly the long, drawn-out saga that saw the property transform and become a Gearbox property?
Yeah, so basically what happened was, Sierra owned had created Homeworld way back when, and then THQ basically bought Relic, and so Relic owned the property, and so they acquired it. And then, of course, sadly THQ went away, and then basically this went up on the auction block. So for us, we were talking one day and I thought, look, we really ought to get this. We need to make sure that the world sees this. I saw an opportunity where it hasn't been on Steam or any other digital distribution methods, and we thought, look, this would be cool to really get this out there to the world. We want to make sure that people are able to play it and see it and love it like we do. And so that's what we kind of talked about. We went through the whole bidding process and putting money in escrow and all this crazy boring stuff, but basically at the end of the day, we were so excited, to finally win the bid and acquire the whole franchise. So it's amazing.
So this does mean that you own the older games as well, and you briefly touched on the fact. I know that when you guys picked it up, there are a whole lot of people that were crossing their fingers just that the game was going to come out on Steam. Can you put their minds at rest?
Yes, it will be coming out on Steam. So one of the things that we want to do is be able to bring it up to sort of like modern day standards. Because these games are really a bit old, and they're still kind of held together with duct tape and, bubble gum and that kind of thing. So what we wanted to do is be able to make them sort of, special and more awesome and make the ships look just stunning, right? So that's kind of one of the things that we're doing. Yeah.
Will you be bringing the originals to Steam as well, or are they so old and so it's not worth looking at?
No, I think it really is something that we can do, is be able to at least get the classic true versions out there. But in addition to that, do the kinds of things that both we and what some of the guys at Relic want to do. After announcing this, a lot of people have reached out to us. People that, like Alex Garden, who used to run Relic, who's now over at Microsoft, he reached out to us and said, hey, can you guys make sure that you are, doing something cool? We're really happy that you guys have it. But we were asking a lot of questions of the different Relic guys. What would you like to see that you haven't seen before? So that it's true to what those guys really wanted to do,
So is it true that you guys are in fact doing what so many of us want so many developers to do, which is taking an original game, not actually changing it dramatically and just bringing it up into a higher resolution, making it shiny, making it next gen and really pretty to look at?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because one of the things is Homeworld 1, is really kind of a GL sort of PC game. And it didn't have a lot of the bells and whistles that later even Homeworld 2 had. Homeworld 2, once we started digging into the code, we're actually surprised at how advanced these guys were thinking at the time. Self-shadowing, cool next-gen sort of shader technology, and all that stuff that we're all really used to and think of as just as standard. Those weren't there in the old games. And so now we're able to bring that up and make sure that the ships are higher fidelity, things that they couldn't run because the machines weren't as powerful, right? So to look at a Homeworld 1 ship, even to a Homeworld 2 ship, which is a 4-year difference, was massive, right? Then in addition to that, now we've got this number of years past. We're almost 10 years from Homeworld 2, so we want to make those kind of changes. We're still digging deep into the code base and trying to make sure that we can build it. We're playing it at Gearbox now, and it's exactly like it was. We're looking into the models and trying to figure out whether we can, do everything exactly like it was or what we need to do. It's just one of those kind of things where you kind of see how they were developing, and some of the development sort of methodologies have changed a bit, and some of the tools are still a little bit antiquated and whatever, but we're going through all those efforts and trying to make it better, in that way. And so, yeah, we're going to see if we can get it on obviously PC first. We'd love to see some sort of iOS version of this or tablet version of some sort. We think that would be amazing. Of course, we'd love to get it onto the next-gen consoles, but, is this one of those things, we have to do the investigation. Is this something where you're going to be using, glass, that kind of thing, and using tablets to kind of control it, or using a controller. And so those kind of things don't feel exactly right for a game like this. Also, the pace of it is pretty fast. So if you're using sticks and stuff, so we don't want to kind of compromise the gameplay or the quality of the product by just throwing it on platforms to just sort of monetize it. We want to make sure that it's true to what it was originally, both the storylines, the way the gameplay is. We don't want to change any of that stuff. We want it to be as true to that as possible, but while being just enhanced a bit.
And, well, maybe potentially at some point, if this game was built for a certain sort of gameplay style, perhaps future games in the Homeworld universe might be built for a different sort of gameplay style.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We've brainstormed on all kinds of other games that would be amazing in the universe, because it's such a cool world that they've created. Space. But anyway, it's really a wonderful, sort of the whole history and talking more to the ex-Relic guys and all that about what happened and what did they want to see happen. These kind of things are the nuggets that we want to take to it and make sure that it's right for the fans.
Roll out. World of Tanks. Play for free at tax.asia.
These pirates have been found guilty of theft, treason, and murder, and are thus sentenced to be hanged from their necks until dead.
They will execute me in the morning, Edward. But they will never restrain you.
Ubisoft's quantum leaping franchise Assassin's Creed has had many historical backdrops since its release in 2007. We've diving shanked our way through the 12th century Crusades, purchased fine art with a side of dive shanking in Renaissance Italy, and rubbed elbows with famous revolutionary Americans, and then sorta shot them. Aerial assassinations were so $14.99 by then. So that begs the question, what's next? The answer? The sun-drenched seas of the Caribbean during the golden age of piracy, and with it, the best installment of the franchise so far. Just like a great ship needs a great captain, a compelling story needs a compelling protagonist, and by the beard of Poseidon, Assassin's Creed has finally decided to give us one. You play as the maverick buccaneer Edward Kenway, a man allured into piracy not only for the sweet plunder, but the idealistic dream of freedom from corrupt class structures he believes it will offer. This perfect balance of naivety and roguishness creates a truly likable and interesting character, one with far more personality than the cardboard cutouts with wrist blades we've become accustomed to in the series so far. The narrative in Black Flag is kind of at odds with itself, trying to tell two stories simultaneously and kind of suffering for it. When you're straight up pirating with historical sea salt ravaged badasses like Blackbeard and Calico Jack, it's an absolute blast. Your supporting cast of pirate brethren are absolutely laden with personality, breaking from the stereotypical trope of one-dimensional thieves that communicate in a variation of the word "arr." Black Flag offers insight into these men's lives that works on truly an emotional level that would see you sail with them to the world's end and back. The problem is, Black Flag wants you to remember that it's still an Assassin's Creed game too, and goes about this by jamming in as much of its convoluted lore and mystical MacGuffins as possible. Every moment I spent listening to forgettable faces going about the Templars this and the Brotherhood that made me wish I could just pull up anchor, go chill with Blackbeard and talk smack about the British, possibly plundering a schooner on the way for good measure. Taking an almost throwaway mode from Assassin's Creed 3, Black Flag puts the nautical combat front and center here, and boy is it awesome. Nothing compares to the sense of freedom and adventure you feel as you hoist the mainsails and crash through waves, chartering the warm waters of this tropical paradise for booty and conquests. Raging seas aren't your only foe out on the briny drink, with Royal Navy and Spanish fleets patrolling for eye-patch-wearing miscreants to enforce a little justice upon, the only way they know how, with the volley of cannon fire. When the guns start firing, the excitement only escalates as you try to outmaneuver your pursuers and cripple them with your own arsenal of cannons and mortars, or even straight up smash into them. Once they're dead in the water, you can board them with all the flair of Errol Flynn, taking command of their vessel and with it its cargo, which you can spend on upgrades to make your ship the most feared on all the seven seas. As fun and badass as all that is, this is where the old Assassin's Creed downfalls rear their archaic heads again. The melee combat still hasn't changed, to the point where what should be an exciting swashbuckling brawl boils down to guards standing around, taking turns to attack, and be promptly counter-killed. it gets repetitive and dull really quickly. And unfortunately, this isn't the only thing from the past installments that's made its way back into the franchise. When you're not bothering British trading vessels and belting out sea shanties with your crew, Black Flag has an imperial ton of dry land to explore. Littered with side missions, collectibles, totally worth it for the awesome sea shanties by the way, and animals to hunt and craft for new weapons, Black Flag is not short of things for you to preoccupy yourself with. The downfall of trading in your sea legs is at the expense of having to deal with the series-spanning, semi-broken free-running controls and repetitive story missions though. Assassin's Creed Black Flag is a wonderful, fun, and exhilarating pirate game. Hell, I'd go as far as to say it's the best pirate game. Yeah, I said it, Sid Meier fans. When you have the salty air in your virtual face and the wind in your sails, this game has so little to fault. It's just the attachment of the Assassin's Creed name and aging mechanics that lets it down. Despite this, I can look past its flaws most of the time because, you know what? Screw it. You're a pirate. The sense of adventure and fun I have felt has been unmatched in recent games. So my advice, grab an eye patch, put on your water wings, and pick this bad boy up. And soon you'll too agree, it's a pirate life for me.
And that's about it for this week's Player Attack. Thanks for watching. We will have new content for you in February, but in the meantime, you can catch us on playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Till we revisit some more favourite content next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.